his speech, President Yoweri Museveni began by sharing his story of the Bush War, highlighting Winyoro's contribution in the liberation struggle. The angry president showed concern over local government officials that exploit female job applicants sexually before they offer them jobs, and those involved in extortion in exchange for jobs. He urged residents to play their role in providing evidence for these crimes.
I have heard the Bazukuru crying about the district service commissions selling local government jobs. Abejukuru bangambire ngo emirimo ya local government erahakatare oyino kusasura ngo basasura bagure emirimo aba bantu aboni mu mbakenise mukwato bujuru tubakwate tubatware ruzerere emyanya. I have heard of girls being exploited sexually as bribes for jobs. Get evidence, please, devoted members of the public, and we expand and roast those pigs.
The president also warned forest and swamp encroachers whose acts are threatening climate change to stop, or else the effects will be adverse.
We need water and clean air. Both of them come from the wetlands and forests. You cannot say that you are a patriot of Uganda, but you damage our wetlands, our forests, our riverbanks, our lake shores, our steep gradients on which our livelihood depend.
During her speech, the Prime Minister and also the host of this year's celebrations, Robin Anabanja, requested the president to intervene in schools charging high fees because it has become a problem in the region.
Webale kusomesa abana under USE and UPE. Abana baitu bakusoma. Oiroho alowe kizibu ekinkwenda kubaza butunu kamumanyire nyo. Your Excellency, ali mu charges za masomero eziretereze abana baitu kurugo mu masomero. Ekyo nkusaba tukikwatanize itwena, tukikwata amahembe tujja kukimarawo na mama ogu nkumwesiga.
Abakusaba sente masomero ga government. Sente za government akusaba ebisare masomero ga government tukazihaho omwaka 2008. Betu ba headmaster abamu bakajema baikana ne basaba sente masomero ga government chambiriza abana abamu okurugo mu masomero. Ekyo ntugenda kukiguraho olutaro.
45 people were awarded medals for their contribution to the country in different sectors. These included researchers, scientists, athletes, investors, and public servants, among others. Kanarum Gume, NBS.
As it was a celebration in Kakumiro, celebrating 37 years in power, the arrivals, the opposition were bitter, saying the ruling party has achieved nothing to celebrate. They argue that in the 37 years, they would have loved to see the regime put in place democratic leadership transition, rule of law, and adherence to human rights, contrary to what they see on ground.
From the time the NRA, NRM under President Yoweri Museveni captured power in 1986, the opposition have been trying their luck to oust him through several subsequent elections, but all in vain. Now, 37 years still in charge, the opposition feel celebrating their stay in power is not worth it. The Alliance for National Transformation, the People's Progressive Party, and the Justice Forum argue that Uganda is not anywhere it ought to be 37 years down the road.
Where we were told we would be, I saw us completely diverted.
As far as I'm concerned, we got a raw deal. We are retrogressing. If you want to know that, you just need to make a comparison in a few areas.
ANT's Ambassador Edith Sempala and the People's Progressive Party leader Saddam Gaira argue that the NRM can't be credited as long as they continue to suppress political space.
In 37 years, at least they would have built a culture, a political culture of good governance and respect for human rights.
So they have hijacked all the responsibilities of the institutions, and they are now the institutions themselves.
By now, we would be having retired presidents advising, on the way forward.
President Museveni has been elected president of the Republic of Uganda 6 times since the opening of political space. But the opposition insists all these elections were marred by irregularities.
In fact, they had a 10-point program, if you recall so well. And in that 10-point program, that was triggered by misrule, bad governance, electoral fraud.
When you see a serving military officer politicking, campaigning to be president, which is illegal, then there is no hope in them.
They are in their diminishing returns, and they can no longer improve on anything.
They have a warn that the pride the regime claims to be celebrating would soon collapse and get exposed.
When you don't have a foundation of anything, whatever you have achieved is built on sand. It can be wiped away.
We still live in a country where there are abductions. How can a state be at the forefront of abducting its own citizens?
Richard Olweny, NBS Sunrise.
Now, sustaining an annual growth averaging at 6% is one of those the NRM continues to boast about, facilitating the increase of monetary value of all goods and services produced here in Uganda. Another section of Ugandans don't feel rosy about the figures which they do not feel in their pockets. However, the ruling party celebrates 37 years in power. The World Bank says the investment in sectors like education and agriculture will help fix this disconnect. Hakim Wampamba with the details.
When the guns went silent after the capture of Kampala, the economy was in shambles following a protracted 5-year guerrilla war from the jungles of Luwero. On the stairs of Parliament, General Yoweri Museveni promised a fundamental change, raising hopes of many Ugandans to turn around the fortunes of the war-ravaged economy.
I think this is a fundamental change in the politics of our country.
The first man on the job of rescuing the country from the economic doldrums was Dr. Crispus Chiyonga, who was appointed finance minister. Chiyonga is eminently remembered for the creation of the Uganda Revenue Authority, a body that has to date been collecting revenues. In February 1992, Josh Mayanja Nkanji entered the office of the Minister of Finance, steering the country's economic wheels up to 1998. He could leave office with a stellar performance of the economy, but most importantly spearheaded the creation of the Uganda Investment Authority. As soon as Nkanji was shown the exit, the new boss at the Finance Ministry was Gerard Sendaula, whose main achievements lay in encouraging farmers to grow more coffee, as well as agriculture mechanization. Even in his retirement, Sendaula still recalls how the economy has grown.
Since we liberalized the coffee marketing, we are recovering almost 80% of the global price.
Professor Ezra Suruma later took on the economic mantle. A former banker and seasoned economist, Suruma is remembered for promoting the financial sector and the brain behind the creation of the Uganda Coffee Development Authority, as well as planning and initiating the Uganda microfinance projects. Several other ministers took charge of the country's economic management through the turbulence of the global financial crisis all the way to 2011 that came with the walk-to-work protests over the increased inflation levels that had seen fuel prices almost double. According to the World Bank, all these ministers were well guided by the country's liberalization economic policy, as the World Bank country manager Mkami Kariuki explains.
Well, I think we're seeing an improvement, an uptick in the post-COVID period, with the growth moving towards the 5% and being targeted for, or at least estimated to reach into the 6% in the coming year.
The sustained annual growth averages of 6% have also seen the monetary value of all goods and services in Uganda increased from $3.9 billion in 1986 to an estimated $42.6 billion in 2022. While these economic growth figures soar, just like the buildings in the country's capital Kampala also suggest, some Ugandans do not feel this growth in their pockets.
Ebintu bya beeyi bakasitoma tebalina ssente. Kokoza akatini kogenda ne muyiyiza kwate tulina kyakola. Tukyakolerako ddala tukolera bwereere.
For many of the people working in the Ugandan informal economy now, it is not a basic construct of who they are. It is highly likely that maybe their great forefathers passed on that poor economy to them. They passed on that poor economy to their grandfathers, and these mothers and fathers here are also likely to pass on that economy to their sons and daughters. It would be the revolutionary role of the NRM, at least as we presume it to be, to reverse those trends.
The former finance minister says that much as all these sentiments are present, due respect needs to be given to the national resistance movement.
As someone who has been through the process and who was there to see the process, I can see that things have changed tremendously.
The World Bank says that much as COVID-19 reversed the gains of the growth, given that it hampered production and trade that were on a steady growth trajectory, the government focus should be on sectors that have a great recovery spillover, just like education and agriculture.
On the other hand, taking advantage of the natural resources Uganda has and the comparative advantage Uganda has in the agriculture sector will be important as well.
While President Yoweri Museveni had last year announced that the country is on the gateway of attaining the desired middle-income status, the World Bank insisted that the country was not yet there. Nonetheless, hopes for a rebound in growth are high. Hakim Wampamba, NBS.
Right, 37 years of the NRM, and that's a conversation on how we have journeyed to where we are, especially in terms of how our economy is performing. Away from that, legislators on the select committee instituted by Parliament to investigate the National Social Security Fund, NSSF, has spoken out on their readiness to interrogate characters involved in the saga. But the Chairman General of the National Organization of Trade Unions, Asha Wilson Owere, has tasked the team to be very thorough and timely. Shamim Nabakoza reports.
The NSSF probe is yet to start its investigations into the long-overdue saga at the Workers' Fund. Questions have since emerged about the safety of the workers' money, prompting Parliament to intervene. Asha Wilson Owere, the Chairman General for the National Organizations of Trade Unions, has however asked the constituted 7-member committee to take keen interest in the previous board members as well, arguing it could unearth the root cause of the dust at Workers' House.
Let them find out from the previous board what have they done, what have they been doing, so that this one will give us a good picture of what is transpiring and what is happening.
Earlier, Owere accused the Minister for Gender, Betty Amongi, of requesting for 6 billion shillings illegally for the fund to popularize an activity for the management of the fund. He says the investigations ought to be thorough.
Recently, you saw the Speaker and the COSASE committee clashing. We wouldn't like to see that kind of scenario.
Legislators appointed by the Speaker of Parliament, including Karim Masawa of Mbala Industrial Division and Kakembo Mwatekama of Entebbe Municipality, told us that they are yet to sit to resolve how they begin capitalizing on the references highlighted by the Speaker in the directive.
When we resume our business at Parliament, so hopefully tomorrow, we'll be meeting. If not, then Monday we'll be meeting and come up with a work plan of how we are going to go about this issue.
There are so many allegations that somebody in SSF is someone's ATM machine, meaning that there are some of those people who are big enough to take money as they wish from the NSSF.
The MP saying the critical matter calls for interrogation from staff within NSSF and other key individuals whose names have been at the center of this controversy.
To meet the board, we expect to meet the minister. We expect to meet the stakeholders involved, because this NSSF is one that cross-cuts from the Ministry of Finance through to the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development.
Is it true that the money is being eaten by some other person? Although the fact we are going to find out.
There are, however, concerns in the concurrent running of investigations between the IGG and Parliament, wondering whether this will not derail the investigations. Shamim Navakoza, NBS, Sunrise.
Now, drug stockout in Tororo. The hospitals have run out of drugs for the past weeks now, and the patients visiting the facility have been referred to look for drugs in private clinics. The situation that has lasted close to a month is due to failure by the national medical stores to provide medical supplies to the district. According to the documents seen by NBS, the district last received drugs from NMS in November last year.
These empty benches next to the dispensary room at the Tororo General Hospital is what usually serves as the waiting area for hundreds of patients before being served with the medicines after receiving examination results from doctors. For weeks now, the area has remained empty after the hospital ran out of drugs following failure by national medical stores to disburse drugs.
We have 6 cycles, which make it 2 months. After every 2 months, the National Medical Stores delivers drugs and supplies to the hospital and to other facilities. So in Tororo General Hospital, the last cycle received one in the month of November, which constituted to cycle 2.
Since the facility serves as a referral to the population of over 2 million people, the drug stockout at the hospital hasn't stopped patients from visiting it. The facility has continued to register over 200 patients daily who are later advised to go and buy medicine from private clinics or pharmacies.
People are dying of pain. People are dying. If you don't have money in the hospitals today, you can't get any treatment. You can't access even a health worker because it's all about money.
Many other patients have gone back because they don't have the money. Deciding to come from a private clinic, private hospitals that are so close here to most places, means somebody is grounded, has no money.
With the district being burdened with malaria upsurge, the situation is worrying political leaders.
We have started realizing, actually registering deaths because of lack of drugs at health centers. People go for health services, there are no drugs, but they have no choice but leave their lives to die. So our appeal to government is to come to our rescue as fast as possible.
But to the Office of the Resident District Commissioner, Tororo, immediate plan to handle the situation has been laid.
As a district, we have decided that we need a redistribution of medicines in the various health facilities that we have in the district. And I think that is what the DHO is doing, to get in touch with the various in-charges to see that in areas where medicine is not being used, it's redistributed to other facilities.
This, however, advised the population against resorting to self-medication, saying the move may worsen the situation.
It is not only medicines that they get in the hospital. There's counseling, there's a prescription, there's a interaction.
Our doctors are at the health facilities and ready to serve you. And you see, we have been telling our people to avoid self-medication. So they should go to these facilities and get prescriptions from our medical doctors, our nurses.
Tororo District last received drugs from national medical stores in November last year, and to date, Cycle 3 and 4 haven't been received. Alex Mugasha, David Ocheng, NBS Sunrise.
NBS Sunrise will take a short commercial break. When we return, another mishap in Hoima District. Misuse of government vehicles, what is happening with that? We'll tell you more when we return. Stay tuned.
Is your brand attracting the right people, or are you lost on the web? Discover how to grow your virtual community and how to influence the influencer by signing up with Nextcom. We do online the way it's meant to be. We crunch the numbers, check the stats, and dig in to create promotions, activations, videos, and strategies to unlock your brand's potential and increase your online engagements. Maybe all you need is just to disrupt for a week. We got you too. We do the boring stuff so you don't have to. Nexcom, making digital work. Big Talk every week. Discussions around current affairs take center stage.
We need a political consensus first.
These discussions affect all of us and shape how Uganda is run.
How best are we going to correct things which are happening behind our backs?
And here at Next Radio, we take that very seriously. If you're looking for quality debate, holding power accountable and getting to the bottom of every issue,
this is the Big Talk. Good morning.
Catch the Big Talk with Kanari Mugume every Saturday, 9 to 11 a.m. only on Next Radio. Get it now. Get it accurate. Get it fast. Real fast. Like super fast. Super duper duper fast. No, it's not fast food or a really quick car. It's the most accurate and timely flow of news, information, updates, stories, and the stories behind the stories, and more, and a lot more. The Now Post. Get it and be the first to break the news. The Now Post. Accurate news fast.
We do thank you for keeping it NBS Television. This is NBS Sunrise for those who have just joined us. Now, in Hoima District, the misuse of government vehicles is among the key factors that has affected service delivery and monitoring of several government programs. This comes as 15 government vehicles and motor vehicles are grounded at the district offices and are on the verge of being disposed of.
These are part of cars that are grounded at Hoima District Office due to their poor mechanical condition. For some, the bush has grown through them, while others have lost their original color due to the scorching sun that feasts on them on a daily basis. This is now their 8th year in such a condition, as according to the district officials. The breakdown of government cars is such a big problem, fueled by several factors.
The people who drive these cars drive them recklessly. And actually, when you go to the district headquarters, you'll find many private vehicles lately as compared to government vehicles. Government has vehicles, but they are parked. All of them are parked. Most of them are parked. They are parked not because they are functioning. It's because they are in poor mechanical condition.
With most cars parked here at the district offices, it's alleged that a section of district officials have resorted to stealing spare parts from these cars, which makes it hard for them to be repaired.
We assigned a few officers to make follow-up on those allegations. I've given them clear terms of reference on what to find out. Those that we shall find comfortable for having stolen parts. The provisions of the law is there to deal with such categories of people.
With several government vehicles in the district now parked at the district works yard due to mechanical problems, officials believe it has crippled service delivery and monitoring of government programs in the district.
We don't have transport. It means we can't monitor government projects. It means we cannot supervise.
There is a lot of mismanagement of tractors, which were supposed to be used by groups, for example, the youth, the women, and other groups. Those tractors are supposed to help the farmers out there, but they have been completely mismanaged. And we have now decided, together with the district leadership, to recall some of those tractors.
It has now been resolved that these cars be disposed of to avoid huge sums of money that will be injected into them to be able to work.
Some that are as old as 30 years, there's some which are as old as 25, there are those ones which are as old as 20 years. Generally, the vehicle to last for 20 years and in use really will have depreciated so much to the extent that it is not now economical to repair them. And our Board of Survey report has generally recommended those items to be disposed of by the district.
According to the Penal Code Act, Cap 120, Section 89, misuse or negligence of government-owned vehicles can lead to abuse of office and can put one in jail for not less than 7 years. Cuthbert Chigozi, NBS.
What a shame, especially because we keep talking about moving from subsistence economy to the money economy. Can only imagine as a farmer how much work that can get done in a short period of time. We do hope, instead of disposing them off, they can repair them so they can be able to benefit the locals. Away from that, following the financial burden, many people in communities are grappling with multiple debt burdens, affecting them both psychologically and mentally. Experts say debt management can be overcome with better money management habits, as well as favorable legal framework.
The global economic forecast of 2023 suggesting little to no growth, personal finances are unlikely to transform this year. But with most people and businesses already grappling with debt, the cycle is most likely to continue.
While the debt cycle most likely affects low-income earners, financial experts say debt does not discriminate. In fact, the biggest earners are usually the biggest spenders.
A lot of bankers are in debt because the amount of money they're earning is modest, but the lifestyle is very, very extravagant. So I think we have young people also who are into debt. They are living in lavish apartments that are very highly priced.
Personally, I've handled so many matters that apparently where people are being charged 10% interest rates per week. Someone who gets a loan of 200 million, and as of now, there is a matter I'm handling at Commercial Court. The person has so far paid over 1.5 billion in interest.
When it comes to how to get oneself out of debt, Musali advises individuals on a few money management tips that can turn the situation around.
Stop digging. If you know you're in debt and you want to get out of debt, you don't create more debt. To understand where you are, it's important to look at your net worth. There's a simple calculation for your net worth. You get your liabilities and you get your assets. Assets minus liabilities. If you have a positive net worth, congratulations. If you have a negative net worth, it means that you're really, living a certain lifestyle or borrowing in order to sustain yourself.
However, commercial lawyer Stephen Kalale suggests that until policy can actually put a cap on the interest rates charged, there is no end to the continuous debt cycle in the country. According to Kalale, policy gaps have left money lenders with leverage to charge an arm and leg in interest rates.
We understand the minister issued a statutory instrument in 2018, but that was basically laying out the procedure of acquiring a money lending license. It does not in any way give a guide on the interest rate. Now, this has left the money lenders with a lot of leverage or freedom to charge as high interest rate as they want.
Financial management classes and financial literacy appear key to the personal debt burden that continues to grapple Ugandans today. Jackie Mutasi, NBS.
As we conclude the bulletin this morning, just a look at what was happening beyond the globe. I found quite an interesting story. In Haiti, they have a very big issue of insecurity, and this is not from the neighboring countries or anything. It's within the countries by criminal gangs who, have become so rogue that they are attacking the police. Now, the police couldn't take it anymore. Guess what they did? They took it to the streets in a demonstration, a protest. They burned tires, they blocked the streets, they attempted to break into the Haiti International Airport by breaking windows. They went actually and entered the Prime Minister's office, and as they were writing against the continued killing of their colleagues. Just from Wednesday, today is Friday, between Wednesday and Friday, 7 police officers had been killed. And of course, they blame the government of not taking action as they continue to be gunned down, to continue to be harassed by these criminal gangs. Now, imagine, I put that picture, I imagine all the chaos that is happening. The police that is always the one that is querying all these protests to be a part of it. And guess what? They were wearing kokolo, like the president calls them. They were wearing masks and hoodies, and so that they don't get identified. But then what they're trying to do is send that message. I don't see that happening here. I don't understand how that, the 360 ton happened in Haiti. But a few things, of course, a lot is happening. I know in Tanzania, a political expert who had been on the run is back, and he's speaking out, saying it's good. It's a good feeling to be back home after a very long time. So as you go on around the day, make sure you keep updated on what is happening here in Uganda. The Naya Post, I know today the Uganda primary leaving examinations will be released, and of course the public has been warned not to pay anything, especially here at Next Media Services. We don't pay to advertise or to tell you this is who has performed better. So make sure you look out for those rogue elements that are going to take advantage of this period of time. But how we performed, those details will be coming later on in our subsequent bulletins, live at 4:45. We'll probably also be going live. So stay tuned. Victoria Bagaya Chigun is my name. I put a pause. Good morning.